with the Woo Crew. And shout out to anybody out there who doesn't have power either. It's been a process, bro. Especially trying to prepare all this stuff.
I know.
Yeah. But it was fun, man. It gave me something to do while the power was out. All my devices were on life support, but we got here in time to be able to do this thing, man.
Let's
Chat family, as always, you guys are the most important part of this platform. Go ahead and hit that like button, smash that like button to support your Woo Crew. We appreciate you guys greatly.
Do that like button right.
Hey, do that like button right.
Do that like button right. So cool. You ready to tell us about your top 5 prospects at number 5?
I am. Listen, it's going to be broken down this way. I have kind of a top 10 NBA big board. I'm going to discuss the top 5 prospects that I believe the Pistons should be considering at 5. And since this is one of those drafts where there is no consensus number 1, even the top 1 or 2 prospects, usually I skip those guys that I feel like we'll have no chance of getting, but nobody knows how this draft is really going to shake out. It's rumored that there could be some trades among those top 2 or 3 teams as well. So we don't know necessarily how that board is going to fall or how other teams are valuing players right now. So I decided we're going to go 1 through 5 top prospects. And then we're going to go prospects 6 through 10 as well. I will do 2 prospects a day, but I will reveal, to kind of kick this thing off, the big board to start things off.
Do you know what Chuck Brewer's top 5 prospects are?
No, I don't.
Trade.
You know what? Yes. Yeah, if we want to be able to preface this thing that way, yes. Trade. But
if they pick at 5.
And there are some interesting prospects in this NBA draft. A lot of times we're looking for that star, and people are saying, look, there's some potential guys here, but it's not as heavy as you've seen it in recent years. But as it relates to the depth pieces, there are definitely some players where the Detroit Pistons are going to pick or have the opportunity to trade back to, where they can actually pick up some pretty good talent. I am more along the lines of them trading back, and maybe that's why, as you look at this list here, maybe that's why you've heard them connected to people like a Cody Williams from Colorado, who is a little bit lower down most people's draft boards, but that would be kind of consistent if the Pistons were going to trade back for extra
he's been getting some rumors, climbing up the board, whether it's Pistons or some other teams a little higher in the draft than maybe initially mocked.
Yeah. But you know what? I want to be able to kind of go through this top 10 really quickly, and then we'll get into the breakdown of our number 5 player, that is Dalton Knecht. This was really tough for me. This was really, really, really tough for me because I'm very, very high on Dalton Knecht, but when you actually break this thing down, there's some elite traits from some of the guys that I had to place above him that you got to take into consideration.
Fair.
But sitting at number 10, I do have Rob Dillingham, point guard from Kentucky, 6'3", 176 pounds. Cody Williams is next at number 9, 6'8", 190 pounds.
Boo.
Yeah. You're not for the Cody Williams
no,
hype?
I'm not.
Me neither, just to be honest.
I'd rather have Rob Dillingham.
Yeah. Ron Holland of the G League Ignite, 6'8", 208 pounds. You got Stephen Castle.
Yeah.
That's your guy?
Hey, I'm with you there.
That's your guy. Number 7, man. Hey, look, 6'6", 215. He's honestly, there's a couple prospects in this thing that are like the most intriguing to me. He's one of them, and you know who's the other one?
What?
Donovan Clingan.
Interesting.
Very, very interesting. You talk about a guy 7'2", 280 pounds, a lot more nimble than when you think of like a Zach Edey.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy on the defensive side of the floor, as well as on the offensive side of the floor, he just causes havoc in the middle.
He's 7'2" and like a 6'7", 6'8", like proportioned body.
Yeah,
like he's an athletic 7'2".
Yep, definitely. If we continue up, Matt, look, that's where we get into this top 5. Dalton Knecht, who we're going to be talking about today. Kind of this wing player out of Tennessee, 6'6". I really like what he brings to the table. You guys have heard me talking about him before. Number 4 prospect, Matas Buzelis. And you guys may have remembered that name being connected to Arn Tellem. Yes. He does have a connection to that agency that Arn Tellem's son does work for. But when you actually get into just breaking down the footage of Matas Buzelis, the guy has a lot to like. Obviously, you want his shooting percentages to go back up, but we'll break these things down as we kind of go throughout our prospect series, and we'll talk a little bit more about Matas Buzelis. 6'10", 209 pounds. It's a lot to like there. Reed Shepherd, and this is the one that I had some. I was going back and forth. Reed Shepherd or Dalton Knecht. Reed Shepherd possesses elite outside ability. I do want to see what he can do once he gets that outside shooting, that volume up, because he shot about 3.1 threes a game.
Okay.
I want to see him if he gets that up to 6. Dalton Knecht shot about 6 threes a game, but 50% from behind the arc, 70% true shooting. You talking about a lightning quick release from the outside. When you talk, and he's 6'3". He is 6'3", which is like, okay, if you get a player like that, what are you doing with a guy like Jaden Ivey? Because now your entire backcourt plus your wing, it could be small across that entire thing.
Yeah, Jaden and Jim are Fredette on the same team. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how much that works. But the elite shooting ability of Reed Shepherd is something that is going to be really, really tough to kind of look away from. And we know that that's been something the Pistons have struggled with for a long time. His playmaking ability and his defense is also highly underrated, in my opinion.
Underrated bounce.
Yeah, and underrated bounce. He and Dalton Knecht. But yeah, definitely some underrated bounce there.
People aren't hip with Dalton Knecht's bounce. Like they
I
are
love Dalton.
like there was a comparison in chat to Frank Kaminsky.
Yeah.
And then I don't think that's even remotely on the same
For
plane.
Dalton Knecht?
Yeah.
No. Not
Like-
we'll talk about it.
Sorry, I didn't mean to off track.
No, that's good. I'm glad you talked about that. Because Dalton is who we're talking about today. So it trust me, it's good. Zachary Risache out of France. We've talked about him on this show as well when the Detroit Pistons started to become another team linked to the French big man. He is 6'10", 195 pounds. I like his game. I really do like his game. I like his shooting splits though. 35% from 3 on 3.4, 3-point attempts per game, 10 points, 3.8 rebounds. But this is one of those kind of potential picks. If you're getting him, you're hoping that this is a guy whose stats are something that can ultimately like quadruple once he hits the lead.
Zachary Risache.
Yeah, and Alexander Sarr as well. This has been kind of I would say the most consistently mocked kind of number 1 overall pick since the all of the different talking heads have come out with their different mocks and everything. Alexander Sarr, I like him. 7 foot, 224 pounds, has handle, can get to the rim. And the thing with him and Zachary Risache and Matas Buzelis is that they all look like they're going to develop outside shooting. Matas Buzelis, he did have some good outside shooting numbers from like before he entered the G League.
Mm-hmm.
But when he hit the G League, you're talking about 22%. And so with kind of these
No
top
bueno.
3 or 4 prospects, you're riding heavy on potential. Once you get beyond that, you're looking at a lot of players who kind of prove themselves in NCAA college basketball. So, yeah.
I forget who put it in the chat. I know we're gonna get more into it, but are there any grown men on this? Like these are all. It seems like such young kids, like young prospect, a lot of potential.
You know what? There is a grown man, and it's the prospect that we're talking about today. That is Dalton Knecht. He is 23 years old. And the reason why I kind of fell in love with Dalton Knecht's game even more is being able to cover Dalton Knecht in person at the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8 that was held here in our beautiful Detroit. You kind of get to see the game in between the game. You get to see kind of like what type of warrior he is, the ways that he's fighting through every screen. Is he taking plays off? Sometimes the camera will follow the ball and you don't know necessarily what a player is doing, what teams are trying to do to trap him. They were running all types of zones type looks against Dalton Knecht.
Yeah.
So they were running basically man defense on him. Whoever was picking rolling, they were supposed to step out and play man. The other 3 players were playing a zone, hedging or fading or hazing towards whichever side of the court that Dalton Knecht was on.
Gotcha.
When you command that type of attention, as an offensive player, that's something pretty special.
And that's
Dalton Knecht has
that type of skill set's what I don't know if I should say what the Pistons are looking for. What would fit next to Cade, like whether it's the pick and pop, wing, or just that wing shooter that can also create a little. And I want to hear a little bit more about his ability to create. He's more of a creator than Bogey. Like Bogey can shoot the ball, but it seems Knecht is more well-rounded, both on offense and defense.
But Bogey was a decent facilitator, but I like what Dalton Knecht brings to the table a little bit more from that perspective. Obviously, shooting-wise, we got to see what he is in the NBA, but you're talking about, got the stats here for Dalton Knecht, 3-point field goal attempts per game. I absolutely love that when you're talking about a 6'6" wing who can bring you some handle, who can bring you some bounce. He can finish in the mid-range really, really well. I love what Dalton Knecht can bring to the table. His strength, even the center has the ball, and his defender looks away for a second. Dalton Knecht is a type of guard, a type of wing player that will cut, that will fill or find the empty space and put him.
He was sneaky athletic, had a little mid-range flavor to his game too. He was solid at Florida and then in the NBA.
Yep, and he's kind of taking. That's one player that came to mind when I was kind of doing this breakdown, as well as Debo. Duncan Robinson.
Oh, Debo Samuel.
Yeah, yep, and they Debo. He shot nearly 80% off of cuts.
Really?
You guys have heard me scream about this. That the current Pistons team, they don't have players that are moving to the point that when you get somebody Fontecchio, it looks beautiful. Like, yo, where has this been all my life? Dalton Knecht does a lot of the same stuff. Moving off ball, moving when the defense sags, moving when the defense turns his head. I love what he brings to the table from that. And then he can finish above the rim. He can use his hezzy dribble. He has a lot that he brings to the table. Obviously, improvements. It's his defense. He has that motor and that instinct. But as it relates to his on-ball defense, you want Dalton Knecht to be a guy that doesn't get lost in the sauce. You're talking about a guy who, if he's 6'6" and he's coming here and he has the potential to start, is he starting over Nassar Thompson, who can guard the number ones right now? One of the things that the Detroit Pistons wanted to do was be able to reduce the defensive usage rate of Cade Cunningham. So Dalton Knecht is going to have to find a way with his on-ball, his point of attack defense, to kind of be a little bit better as it relates to staying in front of his defender, not fouling as much, and being a player that can contribute in the team perspective as well.
Cool. Like, can he play where Cade and those two are the wings? Like, would Nassar be able to be on the floor at that point? They're all 6'6", 6'7". Like, is that a small lineup where I like the idea of having these multiple options as long as they can play defense too. And that's what we know we can get out of Nassar, but he doesn't have the shooting. Like, can we have just options to both sides of Cade?
Yeah, definitely. And you got Fontecchio, who's 6'7", probably more like 6'8", man. He's a tall 6'7" when you see him out there on the court. Has good wingspan, plays defense as well, and can also play the 4 spot. That's what makes this interesting. He can play the 4 effectively. Dalton Knecht can play the 3. Nassar Thompson can play the 2 if that's a type of lineup that they want to put out there. But Nassar Thompson at the 2 is going to have to be a guy who can shoot a little bit better. But you can always disguise or hide one bad shooter in the lineup.
Especially if they're that good a defender. Like Nassar, he can guard 1 through 4.
Yep.
For the most part.
He can guard 1 through 4 and 5 in a pinch.
So that he can be the 2, but also guard the 4 if Dalton Knecht or Simone Fontecchio can.
So you can play those guys all at the same time. All of those players rebound pretty well. Obviously, Simone Fontecchio and Nassar Thompson, we can take their NBA numbers. Dalton Knecht is something that we hope translates over to the NBA. But they all rebound well. They all try hard on defense. Obviously, Nassar Thompson being the better. Simone Fontecchio showing that he has some defensive ability and chops as well. But yeah, you can play them. I don't know if I necessarily play them all together, but in terms of putting Fontecchio on one wing and putting Dalton Knecht on another wing and letting Cade just kind of run with like an Ivy, I absolutely would love that. Right. Ivy and a Duren, that lineup to me is sexy. It really is.
Oh yeah,
especially with the potential that you're talking about if Jaden Ivey and Jalen Duren are still on the team, because each one of these picks that we're going to go through, they do pose some big questions to what you do with the rest of your roster construction. You do. And a couple of these guards that we're going to talk about on here, I got kind of Marcus Sasser syndrome. You got the guard who can shoot the 3, has the wiggle with the handle, can do some things on the court. But who are they when they hit the NBA as it relates to their efficiency? And so, that's it. Dalton Knecht, my number 5 player for the Pistons as it relates to my top 5, big board for them.
I love it.
Dalton Knecht.
I love it. Here's one you were thinking higher, right? Like this is a tricky one for you.
It was a tricky one. I like I said, I fell in love with this game, being able to kind of watch him live during the March Madness. It was a cool experience, man. Really cool experience. But when you look at what Reed Sheppard does from a shooting standpoint, the ability to be elite, I like to kind of think about the floors and the ceilings. If these guys just kind of pan out to be average compared to what their potential is, I like what Reed Sheppard is bringing to the table with that shooting. Can he be a JJ Redick type of a player as it relates to that quick release, reliable shooter? You got to make sure the whole defense has to make sure they know, do not lose the shooter. We used to have that term in college. It was watch the shooter. He's one of those guys that when he steps on the court, everybody has to pay attention. And that to me made the ultimate difference in between where I ranked him and where I ranked Dalton Knecht. For everything that I love about Dalton Knecht, I couldn't find one trait that I could say, you know what? He's the most elite out of anybody else in this draft at this. Whereas with Reed Sheppard, I was able to say he is the most elite shooter. And not just that, he can handle, he can rebound, He can mix it up a little bit. Has that sneaky athleticism. I really like what Reed Shepherd brings.
Like a Peyton
and that
Pritchard.
changed things. Yeah.
A little Peyton Pritchard action.
Yep.
Talk about mimicking the Celtics, the blueprint of the Celtics. No, this is awesome here. I actually have a few more questions about it before we get into our Lions talk. Let's take a quick break.
Yes, sir.
Let's pay some bills. Will you tell us about Lady James?
Hey, I will tell you about Lady James. You know what's awesome? Awesome
What?
would be 426-9944. You're back, man. It is Wake Up Woodward. You know what? We're making it through, bro.
Oh, hell yeah.
We're making it through. Shout out to you all, man. Thank you guys for choosing to kick off your day with the Wool Crew. If you would be so kindly, go ahead and smash, satisfy, caress, treat nicely and kindly that like button. Hey, definitely, man. It would mean the world to us. We appreciate you guys for being here. We are doing breaking down our top NBA draft picks. This is Detroit Kool-Aid's list. We started with prospect number 5 for the Detroit Pistons at 5. Dalton Knecht, 6'6" wing out of Tennessee. And I like what he brings to the table.
Kool-Aid.
Yes, sir.
Is he a guy you pick at number 5? Or is Dalton Knecht someone you take the chance and maybe trade back if there's, probably not past like 11 or 12? What are the scenarios to land Dalton Knecht?
I've seen Dalton Knecht mocked as low as 14, 15.
Really?
Which is it's an interesting thing to me. And it's because there is this mix of kind of high potential prospects alongside guys who are proven, like a Dalton Knecht. But another thing I've heard, and I don't know why this matters as much, but people have some concerns about his age as well, being 23. They believe that if you have a younger player, you have a player that has an opportunity to have a potential higher ceiling as well. So getting a prospect who's 19, who's 20, versus getting a prospect who's 23 right now, what is his kind of prime window?
I'd prefer 23.
At
like
this
year,
stage,
give me the older prospect. I need adult. He'd automatically be or instantly be one of the oldest guys on the team.
Well, you saw that last year, too. Everyone was hating on the Keegan Murray pick, and no one wanted Keegan Murray. And then Keegan Murray ends up being one of the best players in that draft class last year.
Brandon Miller.
And
Hooker.
The age doesn't necessarily matter, especially when you're a dog and you can hoop like the way that Dalton Knecht can. Like, sometimes, Kool-Aid knows what I'm talking about. Like, players can just hoop. Yeah. And you watch that dude play, and you're like, damn, this dude can hoop. He can cross you over. He can take you to the rack. He can shoot it. He can pull up from the logo. He's such a gifted scorer. And you want to talk about how he can't move laterally or he can't play defense if that's a concern for you. Well, what about like guys like Luka? Like Luka can't guard for shit. If you can score, then it doesn't necessarily matter. But he's not necessarily a stiff on defense either. Like, he made some plays in the tournament on defense, some big plays for Tennessee that honestly I was hating in the tournament. I didn't think that he could play defense like that, and he surprised me. So I'm not gonna be one like I casted off Keegan Murray. I didn't want Keegan Murray last year.
Me too.
I'm not gonna make that mistake again this year. I think that I'm not gonna let the age fool me. I think that my eyes can tell me that Dalton Knecht's a baller. Yeah,
definitely. He's a hooper, and that's kind of what as it relates to falling in love with his game, especially being there in the gym where you kind of get to see the fabric of hoops. It's a lot more to being able to see kind of the game within the game, the trash talk, the physicality, the scratching, the pulling, the pushing, all of the stuff that the refs might miss, all of that type of stuff. And you see the type of player he is, and he still went out there against Purdue and put up 30-plus
battling.
Points. Absolute bucket, man.
Yeah.
And all throughout March Madness, the cool thing is when you go and you look at all of his highlights, look at the times that he's doing this too. He starts the game hot, and when it's getting into crunch time, he is absolutely going out there asking for and taking all of the big shots. He's a big game player. He's a big game player, man.
Yeah, he is. And he was I'm not going to be the one that, criticizes refs, but I will say in that Purdue game, he was getting absolutely hacked.
Yeah.
And he was still finding every way. He was willing them to almost beat Purdue. And it was amazing to watch. And a player who doesn't bitch, who just puts his head down, gets to work, and is like, all right, let me cook. Let me do this for the boys. And he almost pulled that out against Purdue. What a great game that was as well.
Yeah.
Who was the most annoying type of defender back when you played? Is it the pincher? Is it the poker? Is it the jersey grabber?
I think it's honestly the arm puller.
Okay.
The person who knows how just kind of perfectly to hook your arm.
James Harden.
And where it messes things up is when you're trying to do pin downs, when you're trying to kind of set screen and rolls from out of bounds plays and such. That's where it messes up timing, and it can honestly put you in a position to where you have a turnover.
Anytime I got a pincher, which they start it, usually your first time down the floor, you figure out what type of defender you're matched up against, and if you're in the post or you're up at the free throw line, that was 3 or the 4, get the ball, you feel this freaking power forward just like pinching you right in the side of your back. You're like, what a tool. That's every time. Get the ball, a hard swipe through, just get their hands out of there, maybe up at their nose, make sure they get out of your face. Sorry, that was a little aside.
We gotta go
channeling back to high school basketball.
We gotta go hoop.
Channeling back to high school basketball days. But Kool-Aid,
yes, sir.
You want to cover both 5, like if hypothetically Knecht's not, what if he goes for, hypothetically?
Yeah.
At number 10, you have Rob Dillingham, right?
Yeah.
Is that sort of, I don't want to say plan B or 1A, but like this is another option. Like, how does Rob Dillingham fit with this Pistons team? Like, obviously, maybe a trade back.
I like all the players in the top 10. I actually really, really like. And I believe that this top 10 for me is going to change a little bit more as we get close to the draft and I continue to do some more deep dives. And I like to be able to take counsel with some people as well who have kind of covered the draft with the last few years just to get their takes as well. Make sure that everything that's going into my take is something educated and not just kind of from my perspective or point of view, because NBA is not my game, it's everybody's game. And when you got some of these kind of high minds that are in there, I like to be able to kind of take counsel with them. But Rob Dillingham is a guy that I believe is probably going to scoot up the board just a little bit.
Okay.
There's a whole lot to like. The thing that just, he's 6'3". You know what I mean? And I want him to be elite. If he's going to be 6'3" and have some issues as it relates to defense and more defense, because he's going to need help defensively. He left a lot to be desired. We talk about Jaden Ivey, a guy who had the measurable 6'4", bordering on 6'5", got the wingspan, has the athleticism, should have every tool imaginable to be able to play good defense. Well, Rob Dillingham left a whole lot to be desired. And we saw Ivey kind of turning his head, getting lost on defense, getting lost in pick and rolls. This is a guy like that in Rob Dillingham, and that's the reason why he kind of fell down the draft for me as it relates to this big board. But when you look at the offense that he brings, man, you're talking 15.2 points per game, 3.9 assists per game. On 11 field goal attempts per game, he's shooting almost 48%. And from behind the arc, almost 45% on 4.5 threes. You can't really argue with that. It's just the defense scares me with him. But he's highly efficient scorer in pick and roll. He puts downhill pressure on any defense. Any defense. You get into that pick and roll, the defense is going to be scrambling to be able to find him. He has good off-ball ability to shoot. And as it relates to Monty Williams's and really the NBA's 0.5-second offense, Rob Dillingham is a guy that you see him. He gets the ball and he moves with haste. He makes his decision to either pass, shoot, or dribble within 0.5 seconds, and he's right into it. And I do believe that helps his offense overall in some areas where he may lack skill-wise. His speed and his athleticism makes up for it.
What do you think about this from Mitten Made? Dillingham is a less bouncy Jaden Ivey with the shot.
That's pretty fair, and that's why I kind of brought up Jaden Ivey as as kind of a comparison.
What about this question from Charles McLean? If Pistons draft Dalton Knecht, does that keep them from signing Malik Monk, as both players seem to be the same player or similar player?
If they did draft a Dalton Knecht, I could still see them getting a Malik Monk. I don't think you can ever have too many of those kind of wing players that you can move around from the 2 to the 4.
Yeah.
In today's NBA, a lot of teams will go small ball as well, as long as that defense is still kind of humming at a good level. So I don't think that it prevents them, but it does give you the option to look in some different areas with your cap space if you do secure a player like the Dalton Knecht, who you may think, hey, I think he's ready to go. If you get one of these other players, it may be a project that has to kind of learn the NBA a little bit more, coming from overseas leagues and such, whereas Dalton Knecht, 23, definitely got the man weight on him already.
Yeah.
You can tell he's kind of filled out. He lifts the weights, and you can tell by the type of explosion he has. It's a quick twitch type of explosion. He doesn't skip leg days. So I like to know that the player we're getting as well is a workout warrior. That's what I kind of see in Dalton Knecht as well.
I love it. Hey, the more the merrier for me. This Pistons team, as we work our way through this top 5 list, really the top 10, I'm learning. I'm going to continue to ask you questions, Rod, tomorrow about roster construction because this one pick is great and all, but it's not going to be the only move on draft day of this offseason. Like, there's a lot still needing to be done with this team. So how does one move affect what's coming next for Trajan Langdon? Like, what is their strategy? Like, is that something we would learn with the pre-draft press conference?
That's definitely something we're able to learn and we're able to kind of pick at. I've already kind of crafted this, and I did this with Troy Weaver too. Kind of knew he was leaning towards another player in that first round the year that he took Marcus Sasser, and we kind of identified the archetype of player. And it was cool. I got the audio, and he was just like, yo, bro, like, are you in my war room or something? And to be able to get the chuckle and all that type of stuff, and him say, yeah, we're definitely interested. And then after the press conference, after the draft, to have that press conference that recaps it, it's cool to say, to be able to have that checks and balances. Like, hey, you really stuck to this. So at these pre-draft press conferences, you get the opportunity to be able to ask what their philosophy may be in certain ways. So if they're showing interest in a Cody Williams, like we talked about earlier, I definitely ask, is this the archetype player, or does this mean you're looking to trade back? Because Cody Williams is not a guy that is necessarily a top 5 prospect in this NBA draft. So that, to me, already is going to be one of the questions. Are you looking to trade back? Are you looking to have multiple opportunities in this first round?
How about this scenario from Terrell Lamar? He says, if I'm drafting Dalton Knecht, then I'm going to try to bring in Miles Bridges. Is that the type of on-court fit that you want to see?
You know what? I listen, you're talking about guys that can shoot, guys that at least try on defense, no matter what their defensive efficiency is. But yeah, listen, Miles Bridges, it's just one issue with Miles Bridges, and it's if the personal issues, the off-the-court issues, if those things are resolved. As a basketball player, before all the issues, and the Pistons were rumored to be lining up a big deal for him, I was all on board for it. So I cannot be a hypocrite as it relates to his talent and what type of player I think he could be with the Pistons. It's just a matter of what's going on off the court. I know that there's been some other details that's come out that at least put him in a little bit of a better light, but it's still a lot of noise that's surrounding him. Yeah. But I do like Miles Bridges, the prospect. Just don't know how much I like Miles Bridges, the guy off the court.
Got you. Hey, we have 8 days. 8 days till the draft.
Just don't draft Zach Edey.
What? Just draft Zach Edey?
No, just don't draft Zach Edey.
Not even as like a second.
That's what he wants.
Don't even draft him. Please don't.
Is he going in the lottery?
No.
I've seen Zach Edey creep up this first round of the draft. At first, when it was during March Madness, I heard people saying early second round, late first. Now I'm hearing as high as 17. And so that's an interesting one to me. If Zach Edey goes 17, then you're looking at somebody else falling that much further for the Pistons to say, you know what, let's try and trade back into this first round and grab player X. Because I do believe the Pistons are going to have their opportunity to go back into this first round this season and get somebody that absolutely tore up March Madness. I do. I think they're going to have their opportunity to walk away from this draft with 2 good young players that can contribute right now.
That's not Zach Edey.
I don't think that's Zach Edey either. I don't. That's what excites me more about Donovan Clingan. When you look at what this guy can do, you talk about, we're going to break it down more as we get along, but you talking about being able to set a screen and clear everybody out for who you're setting the screen for, as well as yourself as a roller, to be able to slip screens as a 7'2", 280 guy. You know what a slip screen is, right? When you walk up and before the screen is set and you see the defender rest, then you roll straight or cut straight to the basket. His ability to catch the ball when another defender was stepping up and to be able to shift his weight to the other foot and then jump around the defender. That type of stuff from a 7'2", 280 guy, yeah,
it's
man.
Rashid like.
It was awesome.
His lateral movement. Yeah. It's that's a you can be. That's
dope.
The difference between a Klingan or Klingman. Klingan and the Edey. It's that lateral agility. It's that athleticism when things break down. Just your having a sense of your center of gravity to be able to catch it up here and make a Euro step, or be able to gather yourself, or to be able to catch it and keep the ball up and make a 10-footer or an 8-footer around the rim.
Yep.
It doesn't feel like Edey fits today's NBA, but there's always an outlier. I'm not a big Edey fan, but he is so big and so strong. Someone's going to take a chance on him. It's whether he works in someo's offense, whether he can make it up and down the court.
I'll just enjoy when someone like Joel Embiid is just blowing by him, dropping 50 on his stupid ass.
Look, that's why, Kiasi, he said, it all gets down to this. The Pistons won't make the playoffs until they improve in defense tremendously. period. And he put 2 T's at the end of that. So he was really emphasizing it. And that's what influenced a lot of my list as well. There's some players that some people really like, but because of defense or their inability to be able to be versatile defensively, I couldn't rank them as high. Everybody that I have kind of high in this list, with Matt Broder being one of those guys that's really starting to impress me defensively. He's really starting to impress me defensively. That's something they all have in common. Everybody in that top kind of 5, 6, 7, they all have the defensive ability to be great at the next level.
And just outside that top 10 list is me and Dante, our boy, Bronny James. Bring him home.
Okay. Bronny James in the second round. Zach Edey with another first-round pick. How you loving
You'll
that?
either not see me in work the next day, or I will be on air with a vengeance.
It would be seething Justin.
There will be one or the other, no in between.
I don't remember the last time in history of any professional sport you could draft 2 players at the same time, one of which is one of the all-time greats of the game, regardless of if he's 42 years old. Pick. You don't think LeBron James would help Cade Cunningham?
Man.
And nowhere did I say Bronny James.
This scenario is asinine.
Right,
you
listen.
lucky I'm busy, man. I'm gonna push you out right now. You lucky I'm doing something right now.
Look.
Should have added a little spice, you know?
Let me start here. From just a basketball perspective, you take all of the Detroit Kool-Aid out of the equation. Of course, LeBron James would help this Detroit Pistons team tremendously.
Right?
Tremendously. But you put the Detroit Kool-Aid back in, you put in the fact that these teams mean something to me on a historical nature, on a legacy nature, and I just don't want to see it any more than I wouldn't want to see Michael Jordan in a Pistons uniform. I can't do it. I can't, man.
Fair.
I don't buy the fact that he'll come here.
If
Like,
the
I
Pistons
can't
didn't
lie.
get one where he's
Exactly.
like,
I can't lie. Like, everyone's just like, oh, he's going to follow Bronny. Well, wait till Bronny comes to Detroit, and then
know
watch
what it is,
LeBron stay in LA.
it's
Good,
a boot
call
them
him out.
kids then. Oh, shoot.
Call
You
him
got
out on
drafted?
it.
You got drafted to Detroit? Boot them kids, bro. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
And that sets you up for Bryce. Maybe Bronny and Bryce want to play in 2 to 3 years. Like, who knows? Maybe
LeBron's
Bronny has
sticking
his
around for
growth spurt
Bryce,
late
man.
in life.
my
LeBron
God.
is sticking around for Bryce.
Seriously.
Narrative is wild.
It's time to a 5-year vets minimum in Detroit just to stay through Bronny's rookie contract, help Cade develop on floor.
my gosh.
He can basically be the coach. Monty Williams can do whatever he wants.
What is your reaction if the Pistons actually draft Bronny James?
I knew it.
I'd be more mad about Edey. 100%. At least there's a chance you get LeBron with Bronny, I guess.
You're taking the potential that Bron might come to Detroit over any potential that you think Zach Edey can give you on the court.
Yes, 100%. Now, no doubt in my mind. I am a D1 at Alabama hater of Zach Edey. On that level.
Alabama football.
Alabama football level hater of Zach Edey.
He's a polarizing player. You talk about a guy who's going into the March Madness and getting 40 and 20 double-doubles. Like, that's wild.
And about 30 foul calls. Let's not forget about that. Soft.
I'm falling in love more and more with Donovan Clingan every minute that goes by.
like
And he
Donovan
also
Clingan,
owns
bro.
Zach Edey. Let's not forget about that. He
I like
owns Zach
Donovan.
Edey.
I like
Seriously.
Donovan.
His dad. Let's not forget that.
He allowed Jalen Duren to play the 4. I don't know.
I do. I like Donovan Clingan.
He's number 6 on your list?
When you talk about paying a person like Nick Claxton $25 million a year, someone like a Donovan Clingan becomes that much more attractive of a player on a rookie scale contract who's going to give you, hey, you guys already know, give me to those 3 stocks per game. He's getting you 2.5 blocks per game and a half a steal per game. That's Donovan Clingan. He's in that 3 stocks club, and that's rare for big men. You don't see that much unless they're just averaging 3 or 4 blocks per game. Even Andre Drummond, he was a guy who got up to, at some points, 4 stocks per game, getting you a couple blocks and a couple steals. So I like what Donovan Clingan has. His ability to also defend man-to-man in a pick and roll. Like, he's good with his feet defensively, where he's not necessarily going out there, to your point, and over-fouling like maybe a Zach Edey would do in the NBA. So, yeah, Donovan Clingan, that's a dude. 7'2", 280, nimble feet, offense, defense. He's wrecking the paint.
Put him at tight end, Dan.
He's a Dan Campbell guy.
Put him at tight end. The Rams need a tight end. I think. The last, actually, too soon to bring up that little Kirby Joseph hit. I do think they actually do need a tight end. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about Los Angeles Rams.
Yes, sir.
We're going to talk about their offense. We talked defense yesterday, talking offense, reviewing up until the season, reviewing the 11 non-conference opponents. Jeff Olson, I see you in the chat. Next week, we're doing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But when we come back, we got to talk about Matty Stafford.
Yes, sir.
Kelly. No, we're not going to talk about Kelly.
Just
Stafford.
like them kids. Stay out of Detroit, Zach Edey.
Yes. That.
Boo them
That.
Edeys.
Come on back, talking Lions. Lions
sir.
defense, Rams offense, week 1. Bring it. Cool. Tell us about Swiss.
I will tell you about Swiss, and I appreciate you guys for letting me take the time to break down, hey, this Detroit Pistons prospect, and I can't wait to do some more. But now more than ever, it is